The Steve Clarke mantra, if you do the basics brilliantly, everything else will probably fall into place. It's not over-engineered. It's not, a million hours of, looking with the analysts. You know your job, you do the basics, everything else will come. I mean, don't get me wrong, Austin McPhee is fantastic when it comes to set plays. I think in Scotland have only conceded corners against Holland and France in the last couple, whatever. So I think when you see how they set up for set pieces, you see how dangerous they are at set pieces as well. And Scott McTominay's been a revelation for Scotland, I think, too. And I'd probably expect him to start, if I'm being honest, as well.
That's the other problem.
When you're talking about doing the basics, as weird as it sounds, that's the hardest thing to do as a football player, is to do the basics well. So you'd have players, obviously, bring a bit of magic and off the cuff and they'll score you a goal, but actually getting a group of players to do the basics well is very difficult. And you see that Man City do it, but obviously then they have the superstars. Arsenal do it. If you look at Manchester United, you look at some teams throughout the Premier League, a lot of them don't do the basics well, and that's what cost them. That's so difficult for players to do as a team.
And you mentioned there about City. The thing that's holding Scotland, that will hold Scotland back, it didn't Wales, is that Wales had this generational talent in a position that can win you a game. Our two best players are left backs. Left backs don't win you games. Do you know what I mean? They don't. Look at the laugh.
Right backs didn't either.
Exactly. I was just teed that up for you, just knock it home. But that's what we've got. I was saying to Gavin, coming across here yesterday, we scored 17 goals in qualification. Do you know how many of those goals were scored by strikers? 2.
Yeah.
Right, McTominay, right, Big Scott, fantastic, love him.
But he's revelled in that role that Steve's given him. Steve's kind of given him a freedom maybe he's not had at Manchester United, I think. So he's able to go and express himself. He's able to get himself into, I think maybe two or three of his goals this season have been pretty much carbon copy. He gets into this area just at the edge of the box, and whether it's a toe poke home or whether he places it, he just knows where to be, and he knows where to be at the right time. And I think that's going to be huge for Scotland.
There's probably, I don't know if it's an arrogance about England fans towards Scotland.
It is.
Always is, yeah. I actually want Scotland to do well. I've always, whenever I've gone to tournaments, whether it's Wales, Ireland, Scotland, I always want them to do well. So
I don't share that, okay? I'm not going to have a solid stool between now and when England go out.
I'm the same, actually. I would want, actually, Scotland to do well. But there's always this feeling that you're going to have this tremendous support, this incredible army of fans that will go over. But the reality of it is that it'll probably sort of, the football will
I think it has done in previous campaigns. I think it has done.
How's this different?
There's just a different feel. I think the way we play is better. Okay, I think we've won 1 in 9 coming into this. And you look at you look at the warm-up games. Warm-up games are warm-up games. I think Finland there's some positives to take out of that. We draw to each, but there was a lot of positives, and then it just floated into friendly mode. You boys will know yourself. It's probably very difficult to get up for a friendly. But also, you don't want to get injured. It's the last thing you really want. I don't expect, if I'm going to Hampden to watch Scotland, send them off or anything like that, I'm not expecting swashbuckling football. I'm not expecting flying tackles. I'm expecting to see us do the basics. And maybe I would be expecting us to win the game. But I'm not expecting anything fancy. It's a warm-up game. It's there for a reason. It's there for Steve and the management team maybe just to look at a couple of little extra things that they need. But then, of course, we've got Lyndon Dykes is injured, and I think you were saying this, it's maybe spooked a bit of the team as well. So that's the last thing you want is big guys, guys like Callum McGregor, guys like Scott McTominay, guys like Kieran Tierney, who is a little bit injury prone. These guys don't want to get and pick up more injuries going into, and there's something maybe in there that this could be it could be a last tournament for maybe a couple of them.
Who's Scotland's star player? Most important player.
Lawrence Shankland is probably one that gets a lot of plaudits at home in Scotland because of how well he's doing for Hearts. He just needs one chance, really, I think. And that could be the difference. That's why I think he'll play over Shea Adams against Germany, as you'll get maybe 1-2 chances at a push, perhaps, against Germany. So I think Shankland, in the form that he's in the league, is probably more likely to carry that momentum. And that so momentum's massive. So he probably will carry that in. I think Callum McGregor has got a huge part to play in Scotland as well. Andy Robertson, I don't know if you can really say there's a star player. Andy Robertson, huge.
I think I rephrased that, recognising that you didn't have particularly a star player, most important player.
I think the most important player would be Angus Gunn.
Well, he's got to be, absolutely.
For Scotland. It has to be.
That's a great shout, actually.
If he has a good tournament, I think Scotland could get out the group.
Yeah.
It goes back to
if
what
he
we were-
doesn't,
yeah.
then I think it'll be difficult.
It goes back, though, to building. I believe that you win football games based on a solid defence. If your defence is weak, then there's probably a chance that you can't break forward as well. And that, it breeds anxiety throughout the rest of the team. It set plays against you at corners and stuff. You want a goalkeeper to come out. You want him to command that area. You want him to come out and just get the ball and just instill a bit of stability at the back, because they will be nervous. There's players in there that will be nervous. You boys will have been nervous when you were playing in Euros and World Cups.
They'll be nervous on Friday night going into that first game.
They've been fighting, haven't they, Germany? They've had, I think, seen something today or yesterday.
Oh, Rudiger
and someone else were fighting. So,
what you've got to do, though, I think what Steve said, is you've got to play the match, not the occasion. And it'll be, but I think that's where he and John Carver
every Scottish manager has said that for the last 50, 60 years, since it was originally said by maybe either Bill Shankly or
A few England managers have said that.
absolutely.
Gary, let's not
Agreed.
get carried away.
You've got to enjoy it, but you have to.
Sir Alex Ferguson used to say that, play the game, not the occasion. I think it came from, I'm not sure if it was Jock Stein or one of the sort of great Scottish managers from previously, yeah. It's definitely a Scottish manager phrase, that.
I think there's a lot of, there's probably confidence, I think, throughout the country. Optimism, certainly, throughout the country.
Just on the game, I think there's a lot more pressure on Germany than there's on Scotland on Friday.
Jim, they're saying it's a free
and after what happened in their last tournament, and obviously them fighting this week, I think the manager's been coming out saying a few things were under a bit of pressure. I think there's a lot of pressure. If Scotland start well and frustrate them...
What do you think? What do you two think of Scotland's chances coming into that, especially Friday night? But do you think Scotland are capable of getting out of the group? Do you think they're capable of getting a result on Friday night?
I mean, Friday night I think it'll be tough to get a result. I just have a feeling that it will be too much in the end. And I just think Switzerland, for me, are...
I think Switzerland will finish bottom of the group. I think...
Yeah.
And it depends what Hungary come in. I watched Hungary against Republic of Ireland last week. I got into a warm-up game, but he wasn't great. But no, before that, I think they were 14-15 unbeaten. I think Germany will get out, and then it'll be between Scotland and Hungary, I think.
I think it'll be between Switzerland and Scotland. I've never, in Scotland, they've never gotten out of a group.
No.
Ever.
Not in my lifetime.
There's been, apart from a couple, most of them have always been on goal difference. In fact, who was the keeper in '96 that let in, was it Clivert scored?
I know, I remember.
Whatever minute.
David C.
80th minute.
Yeah. Were we 4-0 up? No.
4-0 up, just the 4-0 up, lads.
And the one goal went in, killed Scotland.
Yeah. That's
We
how we find
we had a little bit of a huddle on the pitch and said, look...
Yeah, exactly.